Alright, so today's video is why my first novel failed. Okay, so, this doesn't sound like a very happy topic, but I feel like I learned a lot of important lessons, and the things I learned, I'm pretty sure there are other people out there, other newbies out there trying to publish that didn't know the things that I didn't know, and I think the things that I have to say might be helpful. So, here we go. Alright, so I'm just going to start from the beginning. Wait. I have a new Hello Kitty calendar! Wait, there we go! I'm going to start when times were good. When I was still in undergrad, still in creative writing, and I took my novel writing class, which was a wonderful class. I was friends with most of the people in there, and it was great, so much fun. We had to choose to either have a whole workshop day to ourselves and write 90 pages, or we could split the workshop day with someone else and write 30 to 60 pages. So obviously I went up to my professor first thing after class and I said, I want a 90-page slot. And I ended up writing 93 pages. There's something in my eye. So the title was The Adventures and Shenanigans of Bastian Falco. Shit you not. Well, it's backwards, but it says The Adventures and Shenanigans of Bastian Falco, and this is what it looks like on the front, and this is what it looks like on the back. I have a really cool friend who's a super talented artist, and she pretty much does all the art for all the books that I write, starting with this one. And I cannot thank her enough because I am fairly certain that without her art, like, my people would not have been that interested in my book initially, because like she brings the characters to life so well. But we'll get to cover design later. So my workshop day comes up, and for the most part, they loved it. I mean, yes, it had issues. It was the first draft, so of course it had a ton of issues. Mainly pacing. Pacing is something that I struggle with in the beginning. So my first drafts are always too fast. Everything happens too fast. So after I got my critiques, I need to stop saying Everything that happened in 5 pages, I expanded to 20 pages. And obviously I made other various changes. But for the most part, like, people were telling me that they actually laughed out loud, which made me feel so good. I can't even explain how good that made me feel, like, as a writer. And one of my friends was talking about writing, like, fan fiction of my story, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like, you guys know, if you write something and someone wants to write fan fiction of it, it feels like kind of a big deal, right? So I was really happy about that. But times were not always so good. Fast forward to me finishing undergrad, and then I was completely on my own. So the whole workshop community was gone. I went to grad school, but it was for literature, so I didn't have that whole creative writing community. I wasn't immersed in it anymore. And in the first place, when I was in undergrad, they didn't teach us about... I didn't know self-publishing was a thing. They didn't focus on genre fiction at all. They taught us about literary fiction. So we read literary fiction. We learned how to write literary fiction. So some of my professors were not very thrilled about me writing genre fiction. Some of them didn't care. And they also taught us more or less how to, well, not how to get into MFA programs, because that's still something I have to research on my own. But they made us focus on, like, trying to get into MFA programs afterward. So that was what I was coming from. So I had to look up how to query an agent on my own. And again, I didn't know that self-publishing was a thing. I thought traditional publishing was like the only option unless I wanted to publish in a literary magazine. And so I had this genre fiction book. I figured I kind of had to learn how to do this on my own. And so I focused so much on researching how to query agents, how to write a good query letter, and how to research, agents that might like my things. I did not spend enough time revising my book. I revised it, I want to say 3 or 4 times, which is not enough. I didn't know that beta readers were a thing. And I published this book in 2015, and it's the very end of 2018, and I learned about beta readers a few months ago. So, yeah. So, after months of me querying and me doing more research in the meantime, I found out about self-publishing, and I found out about CreateSpace. So, that's when I got so many rejections. I forgot how many I got, but I had an Excel spreadsheet, and I had a number of rejections, and I thought, okay, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep querying, or do I want to try to do this on my own? I did not have the information that I have now to do like a really good pros and cons type deal. So my thought was, well, agents take your story and then they pitch it to publishing houses, right? And publishing houses are trying to make money, so is my book marketable? And I had to think about things like that, and I thought, fantasy is so oversaturated. That was my thought at the time. It's so oversaturated, and so I thought, what if my manuscript keeps getting lost in the sloss and the slush piles, and I got really discouraged. So I decided to go the self-publishing route. Now I have very different and more informed reasons as to why I am an indie author, but that's for a video for another time. So here I was, going on CreateSpace and doing the things that the website was telling me to do to format my novel. I could not afford a professional editor, but I thought I have years of editing experience because I spent both years in grad school editing for the university press, and then a year before that editing for the student newspaper, the independent student newspaper. And I was a writing tutor for a couple years, so I thought, I'm an editor, I can do this. Another huge mistake is that I did not get a professional editor. I didn't have hundreds or thousands of dollars, and I was not about to crowdfund. That didn't even cross my mind. I had just come back from Japan in 2013, and I had to crowdfund. It was for study abroad, and so a big part of the reason why I was able to do that was crowdfunding, but it was really hard, and I really didn't get much, and so I had to take out more student loans. Long story short, I hate crowdfunding so much. So I decided not to do the professional editing route, which is a huge no-no. Especially if you are going to be an indie author, you need a professional editor. You need one. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter if you take it to a writing tutor, if you take it to your grandma, if you take it to your old high school teacher. It doesn't matter if you go over your manuscript yourself 10 times. You need a professional editor. It's what they do, it's what they're good at, it's what they get paid to do. And that was another mistake. I did not have beta readers because I didn't know what beta reading was. And I didn't have a professional author. I thought it was enough that my artist friend drew these pretty pictures for me, but I didn't know anything about cover design. And that was another thing I was really poor. So I went on Paint. I went on Microsoft Paint. And that's why the words are off-center. And that's why, like, these words look like this. And so it does not look very professional. And you can say, don't judge a book by its cover when you're talking about people, but when it comes to books, people literally judge the book by its cover. And like I was saying earlier, I really think the artwork saved me because people might have like bypassed my really, really bad like formatting on Microsoft Paint. So that was another really bad thing that I did. I heard that authors also need to do blogs and things like that. They need to be on Twitter. At the time, I hated Twitter. I hated Twitter so much, and I hated it because I didn't know how to use it. At the time, I thought I just hated it because it was stupid and I wasn't getting anywhere, but I didn't know there was a whole writing community and that I'm in now on Twitter, and it's nice. I really like it. I can tailor Twitter to things that I want to see, and I just love seeing like other writers and talking to other writers. But at the time, between 2013 and 2015, I didn't know any of that, and so I thought Twitter's stupid, so I'm not going to be on Twitter anymore. And I'm going to be honest, I'm really bad at blogging. I start off really strong, blogging every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, and then I taper off because I lose interest. And so I never really built a platform. I didn't have a brand. I didn't have a platform, and my audience was my friends and family. So there was that. I didn't really reach anyone outside of that. So I didn't really sell much, which, I mean, now I'm kind of glad for, because I didn't have a professional editor edit and format my novel. So it looks very amateurish, and so that's why I don't really talk about it now. And I feel like I did not do the story justice, because I know it's a good story and I know it deserves to be read, and I know that it deserved more than what I gave it at the time. And a lot of people who enjoyed the story have been asking me when I'm going to write the sequel. And I started writing the sequel, but to be perfectly honest, I think I wanna pull this book and then give it the attention it deserves, and then re-release a second edition, because I am not really sure I want to continue with this series as is. I think those are the main reasons as to why my book flopped. I didn't do beta reading, I didn't revise enough, I didn't have a professional editor, I didn't have professional cover design, I did not have a blog or a platform or a brand. I wasn't very good at marketing myself and trying to build up hype. I did have a book launch party, which is actually pretty fun. It cost $200 for me. I was alumni, so I was able to use the room for free, and then I made $200. It cost $200 for me to like print all the books, and then the business cards and bookmarks and all sorts of things, and I got food, so I bought all the stuff on my own, and then I made that much back. In fact, I think I made just a little bit more back, but for the most part, it was distributed between my friends and family. A couple of my former professors were there, which actually made me feel really good that, you know, they were there, they wanted to be there and support me. That made me feel good. But now that I know better, I have another book coming out, and it went through 2 rounds of beta reading. I revised it a few times myself. Each story individually has been revised I don't know how many times. And then it's with the professional editor now. When I get it back, I'm going to revise it some more. And then I think it will be ready. And I was able to find a professional cover designer to do the design for me. So it looks way better than this. I feel like I have more of a platform now. I have more of an audience. I have a brand now. My blog, I have a new blog, and I write in it every once in a while. I have this now. I'm a part of AuthorTube, so I think that might help a little bit. And I'm using Twitter the way it's supposed to be used, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So I think those things really matter. I know what ARC reviews now. I know that advanced reader copies are a thing. And so I know I'm going to utilize that strategy as well. I learned so many new marketing things, such as getting reviews, doing a pre-order. I didn't even know how to do a pre-order when I published my first novel. So I'm going to do a pre-order with this and try to build up a little hype, try to get reviews from ARC reviewers before it, is actually released. And so I feel like I've been talking about this book for a little bit. I'm going to tell you its title. It is called Fairy Tales and Space Dreams. And it is an anthology of sci-fi and fantasy stories that I have written and that I am very proud of. And I am so excited for it to come out. The editor said he'll be done with it sometime in mid to late January. So you'll be hearing more about that. And already it has gotten a far better treatment than The Adventures and Shenanigans of Bastian Falco. And even now there's so much left, so much more for me to learn, and I'm pretty sure some years down the road I'm going to be upgrading or updating this video with new things that I've learned and new things that I should have done with this book. But you live and you learn. So I think I've learned quite a bit, and I hope that I helped some of you out there with this video. So until next time, bye!